Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, Toilet Tribe. Oh, I'm sorry, Title Tribe. Old Harbits had to break. Sorry. What's going on, Title Tribe? We are coming with you with another TGIF. This guy is fragile. Speaking of being fragile, I've got my boy Joe with me. He's filling in for Justin, who just happens to be stuck at a work event at a brewery and cannot leave. He's being forced to consume copious and copious amounts of alcohol. So,
We've all used that excuse. Forced to be at a brewery.
yes, I
Who
mean, I've
hasn't
been
used it?
forced to do a lot of things in my time. I've never been forced to drink at a brewery. Um, but that's what that's listen. Justin got the doctor's note. He submitted it on time. Said, "Here's my doctor's note. I'm going to be out this week. Uh, just
Because he's
just put me down
fragile.
with all the other players that are out." Okay, he's like, "Just I'm not making it. Doctor's orders, whatever." So Joe was gracious enough to say, "Hey, I'll step up this week. You could pull me off the bench, coach. You could put me in. I'm ready to go." And so
That's right.
joining me,
I'm,
Joe. How you doing, my friend?
I'm always happy to be paired up with my man George Reed down in Florida, and so it's always cool to be here. Absolutely, and I finally had like my own calendar just kind of cleared up, so I was like, you know what, let me pitch in where I can and help out where I can. So I'm gonna pull my weight around here. So all good to
So
be here, George.
speaking of clearing up, I'm just glad the hurricane cleared up because I wasn't even sure I was going to be
Yeah,
doing this show.
yeah,
Uh, Shout out to Jason and Mike, who are also down here in Florida. Everything went well with them as far as the hurricane goes as well, which
yeah.
is
Thank
good.
God.
I do want to take a quick moment. A good friend of mine, Faith Enos, you can follow her on Twitter at FF Faith, Leap of Faith. She she's not doing too good. Her house literally got destroyed in this hurricane. So if you go
Oh,
into the show notes, there is a GoFundMe page for her. So if you're watching and you have the means and you want to, donate a little money to help her, she literally lost everything in this last hurricane. She fled to Georgia, so she's fine. But all of her belongings, man, they're gone. Like I've seen the pictures of her house. She
mm,
literally has a palm tree where her sliding glass door used to be. It's
wow.
it's sitting in her living room. Her bed was found outside in the neighbor's yard.
Mm,
Um, just to give you an idea of how bad it was for her, like all the windows, all the doors in her house blown out, water completely flooded the entire house. Like it's bad. She's lost everything.
yeah.
So if you have the means and you want to, there's a link in the YouTube description bio to where you can go to the GoFundMe page and donate if you can, if you want to. If you find it in your heart to donate to her, please do.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm glad to hear that Faith is doing well.
yeah,
That she's
she's
okay. She's okay.
her. I got to meet her in Orlando for the Scott Fishbowl live draft. Me, Jason, and Mike did there,
Yep.
and then I got to run into her again at in Canton at the FF Expo. So
Did you
she's
really? Oh
she's a
man.
sweet
Okay.
lady. She is
And
one of
she's
the
in
kindest people.
Frankenstein.
I'm sorry.
Isn't she in Frankenstein?
No, I don't think she's in Frankenstein. No.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
She
There's
might be.
another
I'm
Faith
not sure.
then.
Like, listen, there's 60 people in there. There's way more people than I care to count in that league right now, and it's just going
Yeah.
to get even more
I think
next year.
she was last year at least. I think she
I
was
think so.
last year.
I think she was
Yeah.
last year. I'm not sure if she's doing
Okay.
it, but yeah, if you can find it in your heart to help her, please do. From that, we're going to transition over to Joe. Joe's got a whole bunch of stuff he wants to talk about, so I'm gonna let him get the business end out of this of the show out the way.
Okay. So you want me to hit the Patreon stuff? Patreon information where you can follow? Okay. So where you can follow us, guys? So you can follow us on pretty much all the major platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Podbean, and also we've got. First of all, we've got a quick kick-ass website, toiletstotitles.com. Go there. We discuss NFL football content, obviously, college, fantasy, anything and everything related to football. We discuss it. Our videos, our articles, everything's up there. So whatever we produce, it all makes its way to the website. It's a great website. I'm really proud of it. And you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to learn how you can further support the show. Let me give you the breakdown real quick. $3 a month for a $3 a month Patreon donation gets you into the Discord Toilets to Titles team chat. For $5 a month, you get early access to our waiver wire episodes. Actually, I don't think it's just early access anymore. I think it's only access. I believe our waiver wire episodes, which I now produce, very late Monday night to be emailed out early morning only to our Patreon members. That's $5 a month. That gets you early. Well, it gets you access to our waiver wire episodes and an invite to Frankenstein, which I mentioned earlier, which is our own fantasy football league that we've started. We've got we have 5 divisions now of 60 teams. Next year, we plan on boosting it by 3 more divisions. For $7.50 a month, you get one-on-one draft advice and DFS advice as well. $10 a month gets you free entry. Into Frankenstein. It gets you everything that I already mentioned, and it gets you free entry into Frankenstein. Entry into Frankenstein is $25, but $10 a month donation, you get everything I mentioned before and free entry into Frankenstein. And last but not least, $20 donation a month gets you one-on-one roster analysis, 30-minute episode breaking down your league's draft. And of course, I don't know why everyone leaves this off, but there's also the $1 million donation. Then again, I will take you out one night to a restaurant of your choice. I prefer Red Lobster to surf and turf it, and I'll buy you a beer with your own money for the $1 million that you donated. And I'll take you to a free Giants game, and I'll get you a Dandy Dimes jersey.
So, Joe, you and I are the only one who ever pushed that $1 million patron.
If you don't ask, you won't get it.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like
maybe Elon Musk will hear us.
You get Red Lobster. You get an invitation out. Listen, I'll even take you to a Dolphins game. Okay, like I'll fly you into Miami.
Level up.
We'll get you to a Dolphins game. We'll fly you to New York. You get to go see a Giants game. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for right now, right? Like, that is an absolute bargain. Don't forget to go to Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Twitch, Spotify, Where a Family Breaks on Facebook. That's our Facebook page. Hit the like, subscribe button. We're on our quest to 1,000 subscriptions on YouTube here. We're getting very close. I believe we're pushing over 750 now. So
I think we're at 780, like 7. We're close to 775.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, we lost George for a second, so I'll just take it over. You got the connection back. Cool.
No, well, so what it is I could tell he's not watching because Jason Watson just tried to call me. I'm guessing he's going to call me and tell me the underpass that he's currently residing under flooded, and so when I said Jason was fine, his home is fine. Like it's a bridge, right? Like he lives under a bridge. I mean, you know the bridge is still structurally sound, so he's fine.
He's been homeless. Jason, who's one of our compadres here at Toss and Titles, you've seen him. If you watch our episodes, you've seen him all over the place. He's been homeless, but we love the guy. And you know what? The day he finds a home, I'm going to be depressed because, I love calling him homeless Jason.
It does. Listen, even when he finds a home, guess what? He's still homeless, Jason.
You're homeless. You'll always be homeless in our hearts, Jason.
Absolutely. So Joe, why don't we jump right into the show here? We got these guys are fragile. So this is an injury related show. So let's talk a little bit about some player injuries here. What do we got going on?
Yeah. TGIF, the title of the show. This guy is fragile. We're leading off with Sterling Shepard. And Sterling Shepard, I'm a Giants fan myself, and this guy, I love him. He's kind of like the leader of the team. He's the longest tenured Giant, but he just suffered yet another injury, and it's one that is, it's devastating for him. He just came back from a torn Achilles, I believe it was, from last year. Was looking fine. He was looking good, and he was out there game 1. Tore his ACL last play of the game against the Cowboys this past Sunday. Just non-contact injury. Tore his ACL, season-ending injury, and it was confirmed on Tuesday. So unfortunately, he's kaput, and it stinks because I actually had him on quite a few of my rosters. I like having him on there. Not that he's gonna be like the biggest producer, but I always consider him to have a nice floor that you can do. Like, hey, listen, someone that can get you a guaranteed some points because he was like a favorite target for a quarterback. I always liked having him kind of just as like a safety net. But he's gone, and I don't know if his career is going to be over. But I'm sure his career with my team, the Giants, is over, and that's unfortunate. But someone big is returning, coming back this season, coming back this weekend. Michael Gallup of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he missed the first few weeks with an ACL injury, but he's going to be back for the Cowboys, which should make everything better, make that wide receiver roster that room better. CeeDee Lamb, as George and I were talking about before, and as George pointed out earlier off screen, that should help CD not get as many double teams. So this is going to help out the entire offense. Michael Gallup is a true blue, proven quality wide receiver, and he's going to be a good number 2. I actually picked him up on waivers on a few of my rosters, so I'm looking forward to him coming back. But Gallup is going to be playing against he's been cleared as of like 2 hours ago. He's been cleared to play this Sunday against the Commanders.
Yeah, and if you're the Dallas Cowboys, that's a real welcoming sight to see
except for Noah Brown. Noah Brown's got to be upset because he was doing really well. Came out of nowhere doing well, but hey, listen, that wide receiver room now has depth.
Yeah, and like I was saying, the Cowboys, if they're finally getting players back from injury. So if you're a Cowboys fan or if you're actually the Dallas Cowboys themselves, like that's a good sign because Lord knows they've been putting quite a few players on that injury list. Another guy going on the injury list is Jalen Guyton. He's going to be out the rest of the season. Multiple reports he suffered an ACL tear in Sunday's loss to the Jaguars. He wasn't super relevant to most fantasy leagues, but what that is it's another mouth that doesn't have to be fed. So potentially there's a spike up in volume for guys like Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, who we'll get to in a little bit, and Gerald Everett, and even Austin Eckler in the backfield. So
what about Josh Palmer? Is Josh Palmer one of their wide receivers?
Yep.
Am I thinking he is, right? Okay.
Yeah. So another guy like I foreshadowed, Keenan Allen, he's still dealing with a hamstring. This really hurts me a lot because I have an unconscious amount of Keenan Allen across all my fantasy leagues. When he plays, he's a freaking stud. And you
AJ
get
Brown
discount in these later rounds. You get him around, round 3 and round 4, but he's putting up wide receiver 1 numbers week in and week out. He's just such a target monster for Justin Herbert, but he's been ruled out of Sunday's game against the Texans due to a hamstring. That's being reported by Adam Schefter. So he's done. I'll hit up one more, Joe, and then I'll let you get to number 6 on the list.
Yep.
Number 5 on our list is Christian McCaffrey. Same old song and dance, it seems like, for the last couple of years. Super talented guy. Showing up on the injury list, though. He's dealing currently with a quad and a thigh injury. He was able to get back on the practice field Friday. There's a chance he will play Sunday against the Cardinals. I actually believe he will play against the Cardinals. I'm not sure how effective it is. It's going to be a soft tissue issue. Those are, soft tissue issues. Those are easily re-injured. So take that for what you will. But listen, I have Christian McCaffrey in the league. I'm starting him. I've got no choice. If he's healthy, he's one of those guys where you got to start him. You got no choice.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll let you get the next one here.
All right, I'll do the next one, but then you got to take the one
I'll get the one after this one.
Yeah, Dolphin, obviously. And just real quick to Keenan Allen. Yeah, I had him on one of my leagues. I was fortunate that I think he dropped like round 4 or something crazy like that. And obviously, like George said, when he's on the field, he is a legit wide receiver 1. Kind of like AJ Brown was throughout his entire career at the Titans. Like when the dude's on the field, you want him on your roster. You're starting him because he's just phenomenal. But the problem is him being on the field. And he's like, I think like my only weapon left on Frankenstein, who's, hasn't been stolen because he's injured, so I kind of need him to play if I'm going to have any shot in coming back to Frankenstein. But anyway, let's move on to Hunter Renfrow. One of my favorite like number 2 wide receivers out there in the NFL. He's kind of like a Sterling Shepard type of wide receiver to me, kind of like that, high floor safety net type of guy. You can always count on some points for him. He's got a concussion. It seems like the usual theme here is ACLs and concussions with these players. Hunter Renfrow out with a concussion. He has been officially ruled out against the Broncos this upcoming weekend due to a concussion. So he might be, I don't know, he might be losing when he comes back anyway. Mac Hollins is looking very, very good for the Raiders. So we'll see if there's going to be changing the guard for a wide receiver too anyway. But the next guy you take, George, big one.
Yeah, I liked Matt Collins last year when he was on the Dolphins. He was literally the heart and soul of the wide receiver room. No matter how great Jalen Waddle was last year, like
Mhm.
Matt Collins was the guy. Like he was the heart and soul of that team. So I'm glad to see him doing good over there in Las Vegas. I really did not want to lose him
Yeah.
this to Miami. But
Yeah, he just had a monster. He had a monster game. I think what was it just this past weekend? I think like 162 yards or something like that. So definitely excites you. And I was able to get him on waivers. I think on one. I think I put waivers in for on three leagues of mine for him. I got him in one. So
So
hopefully,
the next one we're going to talk about is the reason why Joe's throwing it to me is because I'm the Dolphin fan and it's Tua Tagovailoa. Anybody who watched the game last night, like that the horrific hit that he took, slammed his head on the ground. They were playing, I believe it was in a dome, and it wasn't real turf. It wasn't real grass. It was a turf, which means there's nothing underneath it but cement, which made the hit even worse. He's
where did they play, George?
What's that?
Where did they play the game?
Cincinnati.
Oh, wait, and that is a dome over in Cincinnati. It's
I'm not sure if it's a
I don't
dome.
think so. I think it's
I don't.
outdoors, but it's turf.
I don't think it's real grass.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
So he hit the back of his head. The optics were horrible. We're not going to get into that. He suffered a really bad concussion. They sent him to a level 1 neurological trauma unit there in Cincinnati. It's one of the best in the country. They cleared him within a couple of hours. Said he was okay for him to fly home. So because most times with concussions, if they're that severe, like they don't want you to fly home because the pressure that builds up on the head and the brain, it's very scary. But they cleared him to fly home. He flew back to Miami. A lot of people are talking about this the second time he's had a concussion in 4 days. It's not true. There was talks from a tweet from Tom Placerio that said the NFL chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sillis, says Tua was checked for concussion symptoms every single day since Sunday. Points out independent neuro expert had to clear him. So it wasn't a team that was clearing him. It was independent neurologist, had nothing to do with the team. They're going to do a whole review of the incident because it looked like when he fell and he kind of stumbled and he's adjusted his face mask. I really was saying he had a concussion. He was cleared by 2 independent neurologists, not the team. He was checked
I believe it.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, George, I believe it. I don't think they would have sent him out there if he didn't, if he failed a concussion test. I don't think they would have sent him out there.
You're talking about the head coach is not a meathead like Dan Campbell or a former player or anything like that. Like it's Mike McDaniel. If anybody who knows anything about Mike McDaniel, he's not going to force these players to go back into the game to play if they're hurt. That's not his MO. It's never been his MO. He's not that kind of a dude. But Tua is in concussion protocol. The Miami Dolphins do have 10 days before their next game. Mike McDaniel was at a press conference earlier today where he said he's not even concerned about Tua playing in the next game. He hasn't even thought about that. Right now, his concern is with Tua and making sure that he's healthy as a person and as a human. And so the reason we're spending more time on Tua than anybody else is he's a hot topic. He's always been a hot topic, whether you love him, you hate him, and different. He just draws criticism from everywhere for absolutely no reason. Like one of the nicest guys on the planet, and he gets so much criticism from everybody. But he's
the biggest name on this list too. I mean, especially with the way the Dolphins had started off this year, smoking hot, with those 2 great wide receivers. So he's definitely the biggest story for this week, and also given the injury that he suffered yesterday.
Yeah. So he's in the concussion protocol. He'll be continuing to be in their protocol. They'll go through the test. The Dolphins will follow the protocol to the T as they have done so far. So hope to see him back out, but only when he's ready. Hopefully, he can get right and get healthy and come back out. But that's, playing right now with him is a secondary issue for most Dolphin fans. We just want him to be healthy. Moving on to something that's more impactful for a lot of fantasy players than Tua is going to be DAndre Swift. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. Dan Campbell said DAndre Swift can miss time with his shoulder. Might benefit having him out, having him held out till after the bye week. Their bye week is week 6. So he's not playing this week. He's already been ruled out. That was from David Burkett via Twitter. And there's a good chance he'll be held out next week. Then they have the bye week and then come back. So you're talking potentially 3 weeks without DAndre Swift. That's going to hurt a lot of people because you drafted him so early to be a cornerstone on your team. Another running back you drafted as a cornerstone of your team is Dalvin Cook. He is dealing with a dislocated shoulder. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook dislocated his shoulder again. He's done this in the past. He's played through it in the past. He just has to wear a harness. He was not wearing a harness last week. He has an unrepaired labral tear, in his shoulder as well. So that doesn't help. He was at practice on Thursday. He did a full practice. And if you ask Dalvin Cook, he's playing Sunday. He's not planning on missing any time. But he's going to have to wear some type of padding and protecting for that shoulder.
And it sounds like if he says he's playing this weekend, I believe him. But to me, it sounds like it's a matter of time before he's going to suffer an injury, a season-ending injury, I think, with that shoulder.
So I don't know if it'll be season-ending, but I can definitely see there being a game 2 or 3 where he goes out and he just gets a stinger or something like that on the shoulder and he misses the rest of the game. That can happen with any running back, but he has an extremely long history of that specific injury to that specific shoulder. So It is what it is. You want to jump in and get the next one?
Yeah, Cordarrelle Patterson had a knee injury, according to reporters at the open portion of the Falcons practice. They reported that Patterson was missing from practice for the second straight day. Patterson was listed as out of practice on Wednesday because of a rest day and because of a knee injury. So as of right now, he's questionable, Cordarrelle Patterson. And he's still been a very effective weapon for the Falcons, so you got to be careful there. Zach Wilson is returning this weekend. So Jets quarterback Zach Wilson has been cleared, and the team is expected to have him in the lineup against the Steelers this weekend. So you can fire up Zach Wilson if you've been stalking him and waiting to play him. And then I'll take the next one too. David Montgomery, running back for the Bears. David Montgomery, he suffered an ankle and knee injury. He left Chicago's Week 3 victory over Houston in the first quarter. He did not return. He is originally he was day-to-day, but he's since been ruled out. So Montgomery is officially out for this upcoming Sunday's game against the Giants, against my Giants actually. So if you got Khalil Herbert, fire that dude up. And you can always count on Khalil Herbert too.
Khalil Herbert is such a good running back. I was talking with Lauren Cox from Locked On Bears this offseason, me and Nina, when we were doing our offseason shows.
Yeah, I remember that.
He even told us, Khalil Herbert, for the system that Coach Eberflus wants to run, Khalil Herbert is a much better fit for that system. And if you watched what he did last week, once he came in and got the full workload for David Montgomery, it was like night and day between what David Montgomery could do with that system.
He had a monster game.
Yeah, he's huge. So fire up Khalil Herbert. He's going to be fantastic. And I think he'll have a larger role going forward even once Montgomery comes back. Another guy that is out for this week, which this is going to hurt a lot of people, is a guy who I would honestly say has proven me wrong so far this season. I was not buying in on him to start the season. I was not a fan of his this offseason. That is the sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got an ankle injury. Lions head coach Dan Campbell said early in Friday's press conference that wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown will not play against Seattle. He's dealing with an ankle injury that has kept him out of practice all week. So get the sun god out of your lineup. He's not going to help you this week. I hope he comes back next week. He's been absolutely fantastic for you in your fantasy lineups this year, despite me pooping on him all offseason. He has gone out and proven me wrong, and I've got no problem saying when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I was wrong on Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's funny, if he misses like a week or two, another week or two, they could honestly get Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown back at the same time, which would be absolutely phenomenal for the Lions. So that's just something to keep an eye on. If you have a stash spot on your bench for in your fantasy leagues, like Jameson Williams is a guy you might want to look at stashing.
It's a good idea.
Another guy that is questionable to play is Gabriel Davis. Bills receiver Gabe Davis practiced on a limited basis Friday. He's questionable to play on Sunday. I think he plays. If he practiced on a limited basis Friday, I think he'll play on Sunday. But that is the update that we got from Miles Simmons from Pro Football Talk. So take it for what you will. Right now, he is questionable. I think he plays. How effective he'll be, I don't know. But, I mean, if he plays, like, he's somebody I definitely want to put in my flex spot because that passing offense with Josh Allen has been ridiculous so far this year.
Awesome.
And then I'll let you get to Hollywood here.
Go ahead.
My boy, Mac and Cheese, Mac Jones. Anybody who knows me knows I think he sucks as a quarterback. I'm not a big fan of his. He is out. He's got believed to have suffered a high ankle sprain in the loss to the Baltimore Ravens. He was limited all week, and he's officially been ruled out this week. So fire up Brian Hoyer if you dare. And the source on that is Adam Schefter.
Okay, and let me take over from here. I'll do the last three. Hollywood Brown. So Hollywood Brown, wide receiver for the Cardinals, foot injury. So apparently he popped up in the injury report with a foot injury that people didn't know about. So there is some cause for concern. There's no official status on him yet. So he's got probably a Q next to his name. He's questionable, but it bears watching if you have Hollywood Brown on your roster. Michael Thomas, wide receiver from New Orleans, also a foot injury. He's actually been ruled out with a foot injury for Week 4 against the Vikings in London, and so that's tomorrow, right? That game, Saturday game.
No, that's a Sunday morning game, so it starts at like 9:30 Eastern time.
Okay,
and so the reason why we added that it was in London is because you really want to make sure that you're prepared for those games in London, because if you're waiting for the updates, like that game's already started, and
that's right.
Michael Thomas will already be out, and you won't be able to get him out of your lineup. So specifically pay attention to the games this week because you do got a game over in London.
Right. So I misspoke. It's Sunday, but it's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
Okay. So and the last one is Dak Prescott, who he had his thumb injury in the beginning of the year, Week 1. He had his stitches removed from his surgically repaired thumb. Dak says that he's unlikely to play this week, but he's eyeing a return for Week 5 versus the Rams. So that's a great scenario for the Cowboys. They're getting Gallup back, getting Dak back, probably in like 2 weeks or a week and a half for the Week 5 game. And so they're getting everyone back, and they're having a good season to boot even without those guys. And real quick, we've got just two things here. Sebastian asked James Robinson and Mike Williams for Diggs, full PPR, which side wins?
I want Diggs.
Me too.
I like Mike Williams. I like James Robinson. And James Robinson, by the way, has been crushing it this year. Let me just say that.
I love James Robinson.
Him coming off that ACL tear is just the freakiest of freakiest things for like we've seen lots of players come off ACL tears. Not Delvin Cook, Cam Akers, to name one that's just right off the top of my head, and he doesn't look like he did beforehand. But James Robinson, man.
Saquon Barkley last year he played, but it was the year after his ACL tear, and he didn't look the same. I'm different style running back than James Robinson too, I'd say. But most of the time, you're going to look like crap the first full year that you're back, or at least the first half of the first year that you're back. You're going to look like crap. Robinson's rocking it. He's looking awesome. I love that guy. I love him.
James Robinson. I said this on the Blitz this past weekend. James Robinson is outside of like your complete outliers like Tom Brady and Antonio Brown. And say what you want about Antonio Brown, like that dude's going to the Hall of Fame. Okay, No question in my mind.
Best wide receiver of his time.
Yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Whether you like his antics off the field, on the field, whatever, dude's going to the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time. Like, I get those are extreme out being drafted in the 6th round. But James Robinson is probably the biggest miss in current day NFL scouting, and it's just so great to see him back and continuing to do what he's been able to do. He was an undrafted free agent. There's no way he should be playing as good as he has. Coming off an ACL tear, he should not be playing as good as he is. Like that dude, I'm so proud of him.
It seemed like to me, as soon as Etienne was drafted, that people were writing Robinson off after the phenomenal rookie season that he had. They were, writing him off, like ready to, put him as an RB2 depth guy. And I had nothing against Etienne. I liked Etienne coming out of college, but I'm like, the dude just put up a monster rookie season. What are you talking about? I wouldn't be, if anything, I'll find space for Etienne somewhere else. But anyway, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm all about Diggs in that scenario. And then Brandon Williams asked, will you guys be taking questions before the London game? I don't think so. That's the Blitz. We've got our Blitz Sunday morning, but that starts at 10:30. I don't know, George. I don't know if you guys are going to start a little earlier or.
No, we'll start at 10:30. We can only run the show for so long. That's the problem. So we won't be able to take questions via the Blitz before the game in London. If you were a Patreon, however, for $3 a month, you could get access to the Discord chat where we basically have 24 hours members from the Toilets to Titles team in there answering questions. So $3 a month, join the Patreon, and we will be more than happy to give you any type of advice you want before the kickoff in London. Unfortunately, there are restrictions on when we can go live for the Blitz and those London games. It's going to be after the London game. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Last question. This is the last one. So we have to sign off, guys. We have another show. We have another show starting soon. We have to give them time to set up and prepare. Actually, I guess they're probably preparing anyway, but we got to get off soon anyway. It's almost 7:40. Okay. Brandon's also asking, what's the link for Patreon? I'll put it in there. Hang on. I'll put it in the chat, Brandon. Hang on 1 second. So if you want to address this question here, George, I'll go put the link to Patreon, or at least I'll put the path to Patreon for Brandon. Go ahead. Have Thielen. He's got Thielen at wide receiver 2 and Samuel on the flex. But should he play McLaurin, Dillon, or Dortch over either?
So I said it on the Blitz last week. I had a feeling about Thielen, and I got laughed at. I said, no, you guys can laugh at me. Thielen's going to go out and he's going to score a touchdown this week. I guarantee it. He went out and he scored a touchdown last week. Great call by me. I am a Thielen guy, and it could be because his performance, that last catch for 13 yards, week 2, literally won me a game. It's a game I had no business winning at all. I should not have won that game. But that last catch put me up by like 0.71 points or something like that. So I ended up winning because of Thielen. So maybe that was a homerism in me to go back to him. But I like Thielen again this week. So I would keep Thielen at your wide receiver 2. The Samuel, I'm assuming that's Curtis Samuel. If it's Debo, it's no question you're starting him. With Curtis Samuel, though, he's just been really, really good. I like McLaurin, but he's getting so much attention from other players on the defense that it's just leaving Curtis Samuel to run free to do everything. So I would start Samuel over McLaurin. I would start him over Dortch. I don't mind the Dillon call.
Brandon, can you specify, I actually, for whatever reason, I understood it as Curtis Samuel. But do you mean, I assume Debo would be his wide receiver 1. Brandon, is it Curtis or Debo?
I can't picture him flexing Debo Samuels. If you are, like, congratulations.
Exactly.
But
it's Curtis. Okay, it's Curtis.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was Curtis. I would keep it the way you have it. I would go with Curtis Samuel. I would go with Adam Thielen. I can't guarantee Adam Thielen scores a touchdown this week, but I guarantee you he'll get you 80 yards on at least 5.
I thought he'd come back too. I've got him on one of my rosters, and again, I felt like it was a steal. He's like one of the best wide receiver 2 out there in the NFL, and he had a slow start to the season, but there's no reason to think that this guy, he's got no history of injury to think that, you know, something lingering or anything like that. I thought he was bound to come around, Thielen.
And I like everybody knows you don't start Kirk Cousins on any game that's after 8 o'clock. Like Kirk Cousins is an East Coast dad. 8:30, he's getting home from Bible study. He's getting ready to go to bed. His body is just not used to being up that late. So when they put him in prime time, that's why he plays like garbage. So don't play Kirk Cousins.
Maybe that's Danny Dimes' problem.
Listen, it could be like he's another East Coast guy. Body, got to go to Bible study, got to go home. You play with the kids a little bit, then you go to bed. Like they're not used to being up that late. Okay, like they got to get their beauty sleep. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, yeah, I would do Thielen. I would do Samuel. I would leave it just as you have it personally. And Joe, that's all I got.
Think so too.
Do you have anything?
Yeah. No, that's it, man. Just a friendly reminder to everyone, please, if you can hit that like button, subscribe, and if you can give us, if you have 30 seconds, what really helps us out a lot too, definitely subscribing helps us out a lot, hitting that like button, but also if you can give us a 5-star Apple review, if you got 30 seconds to spare, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And again, Brandon, thanks for being in the chat. We really appreciate it. Thanks for the questions, my friend. And Sebastian too. Sorry, I got you a little late there, Sebastian. I hope you stuck around to see the answer, but we had to get through the meat and potatoes of our program first. And Brandon, I hope we gave you some good advice there. If you could become a Patreon member, even for just $3 a month, that would be awesome, my friend. But anyway, George, that's it, man. And listen, the other TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I love Fridays.
Yeah, Friday's my favorite day of the week. It's payday.
Yeah, same here.
Weekend.
Especially Friday night.
Yes. So, Joe, I hope you have a great one. Thank you for coming on.
You too, George.
Follow Joe. You can see his little Twitter handle down there at JoeJ_Clark. You can follow me on Twitter at GeorgeReedFF. You can follow us both on the Twitter at Toilets2Titles. Joe, have a fantastic night. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you later, my friend.
Take care, George. You too. Have a great week.